The Bright off-MLS policy is under fire from some major players, and all the news from the Zillow Unlock invite-only conference. Tune into Toole Time right now. Welcome back to Toole Time. I'm Tom Toole. She is Jess Lion, and we are here talking about some local controversy in real estate, some national news that's all over the place when it comes to Zillow, the topic of the moment, the Google of real estate.
Google of real estate, I like that.
Well, that's what people are looking at it as right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's synonymous. So we talked about that in a couple shows a few weeks ago. So let's jump into the Bright off-MLS policy. So we talked about this last week.
We did.
No notice. You can list homes coming soon or pre-market them if they're in Bright. If someone doesn't want the home on the MLS, you can't put them in you can't work with them as a Bright member, or you're going to get fined $5,000. So pretty controversial stuff here, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I'm going to give you some reactions. So why don't we talk about the news here? So the first one comes from our friends at Compass. They sent a pre-litigation letter to Bright over the pocket listing policy, and it says in the letter that Bright's new ban is anti-competitive and may lead to legal action. So that's one take.
That's what I've been seeing a lot too.
Well, the second one is the Austin MLS, and let me get this article up here. So the Austin MLS, they came out against the pocket listing policies. This is another MLS, a different MLS, obviously down in Austin, Texas, and they're saying it isn't pro-consumer and it violates ethics standards. And then there's a third reaction that came from some of the biggest people out in the marketplace, which is some of the real estate execs, what they think about the NAR listing policy, including Glenn Kelman from Redfin, Glenn Sanford from EXP, Nick Bailey from Remax, Corey Perkins from Compass. So a lot of reactions here. What do you think about all this? What have you read on it? And then we can kind of go over what the feedback's been and where this is going.
Well, I think that Bright needs to maybe take a step back and take a listen to leaders in the industry who this is going to affect, who really want the best for their client, have their best intentions at heart. So it's maybe something they need to reevaluate. I don't know how they would do that, but I've been reading tons of articles saying, this is horrible, we're going to sue them, everything that you just talked about. So maybe, and it's for those pocket listings, right?
So they're suing based on it's Compass sent a pre-litigation letter. So what that means is that they may sue. Right. Like, that's really all it says. Right. And Compass is a member of our MLS here, so they're a concerned member now.
Yeah. And
then it argues that Bright's new policy, the rules in it directly contradict their stated aims of increasing cooperation and improving the consumer experience. And then specifically the limitations it places on brokerage pre-MLS market programs, and in turn, the customer choice are problematic. Meaning, the customer may want one thing, and Bright's policy limits what agents can do. And that's the fundamental issue here.
So you're limiting who you can work with.
Well, they would limit it. So there's two issues with the policy, right? We talked about this last week. So the first is you sign a listing, and you have to have it on the market within a day if you're going to start marketing it. That's the rule. And if you're going to pre-launch a property, maybe homeowners, they don't want the home on the MLS yet, right? They want it not on the MLS. They want people to call other agents to generate excitement because people want what they can't have.
Yeah.
And from the seller's perspective, and this isn't about cooperation, this is about talking to other agents. From the seller's perspective, people want what they can't have, and there's a lot of pressure on the buyer to buy the home when it's not being marketed to the public. So if someone really wants that property, the seller may do better than if it goes to the market and it sits on the market for a while and then someone doesn't buy it. So
makes sense, yeah.
That could ultimately hurt the consumer there if someone's like, I have to live on this street. And so when they're talking about like the 4-bedroom single-family home on a particular street in the school district their kids are already in, the seller may lose money there. I mean, I'm not saying that would happen. I'm saying this is what goes through people's heads. The bigger issue with the policy is if someone doesn't want their home on the MLS and they want to hire an agent to market it, which I've had to do this a couple times.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
And the agent will get fined by not having it on there. And what that does, that actually tells the seller, hey, if you want your home to be marketed by an agent who has a network of people who knows buyers, who's going to bring it to the right people, and they've got some sort of privacy concern. Maybe there's like a restraining order that they don't want, and they don't want people to know they're moving. Maybe there's some sort of litigation going on. Business partnerships go bad.
Sure.
This benefits agents. There's a problem on the consumer side. So that person, if they don't want their home on the MLS, and I'm not recommending that if you want to get the best price, to be very clear.
Right.
You're taking a choice out of the consumer's hands, and what it does is then they're forced to either work with a non-Bright participant or go for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of data out there that shows when you sell by owner, you get less for your home. And the non-MLS participants, I don't have their numbers in front of me, they're not supporting the membership. That's the problem here, and that's what Compass is coming out and saying, is that they're actually hurting the consumer. And when they talk about the ethics conflict, we have a duty to the public as agents, and that's what's being forgotten here. So,
do you think they're going to kind of change what they're saying that they're going to do, Bright, or do you agree with Compass? And
so what I agree with is that the policy is not well thought out,
and
there's limitations there. And the challenge is there was no feedback on get on this policy.
It just came
when
out.
I heard about it is when it happened.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're uninformed here. So there's some challenges there. Now, the Austin MLS, they came out against it, and they're saying the NAR is National Association of Realtors is going to pass something here. And they're saying it's not pro-consumer. And it's not about cooperation. And they're also saying it's inconsistent with the NAR Code of Ethics. Cooperation's foundational to the MLS, and threats to MLS cooperation are many. But the policy that hinders a seller's marketing choice is not pro-consumer. So it's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Now, there's other MLSs that do this. There's one in Seattle. I don't know all of them off the top of my head because there's a number of MLSs. The point is, we talked a couple weeks ago, our MLS is in trouble, and this looks like a typical policy where it's,
a lot of press, though.
hey, we need to, well, they're getting a lot of press, but it's like, hey, this is very first-level thinking. They're not taking it to the next level. What's going to benefit the consumer?
Should and really take a step back.
Well, and there's that guy, he's against Zillow. I don't even remember him because he's kind of going by the wayside, but it's, hey, we need to protect all our information. Right now, the best thing for a consumer is get all the information out there and let them decide how they want to market their biggest asset.
Absolutely.
So this is not the end of this. And what I see happening is that there's going to be a big challenge here. And the problem that arose here, one, is there was no sounding board. They just made a decision based on their board. And a lot of these people aren't on the front line selling real estate. And if they are licensed, they're selling a couple homes a year.
Right.
Or they're running the company. They're in management.
Step back and really speak to leaders like teams in the areas that this is actually affecting. So that's pretty cool. Are we allowed to talk about how we might be interviewing them?
Well, we've put in a request with the VP at Bright. Hopefully he's going to say yes, because I've got some real questions to ask them here. What was the process? How did they come to this? Because it's that environment where decisions are made in secret for the public, and nobody knew this was coming. That was the big issue here. And then all of a sudden there's hundreds and thousands of comments on these Facebook pages, and now Bright's turning off the comments because they don't like them.
No way.
And they're legitimate questions. So there, and then the other option
being
here,
pushed into a corner.
Well, but what the ultimate option is go create your own MLS. That's what people are going to, and that's not a viable solution. I mean, if someone wanted to go do that, great. I'm going to keep selling real estate because that's best for me and my clients and our consumers and the people we help. And there's parts of the policy that make sense. And maybe there's a way to blend it together instead of, hey, this is how you have to do it if you want to be a member of Bright. I just don't. And to me, it looks like a power grab by Bright, to be very clear. They're one of the biggest MLSs in the country, and they're trying to force people to use them no matter what. That's not always best for the consumer. So you can't say you're pro-consumer and then do stuff that doesn't benefit a seller.
I agree. This is something that we definitely should probably follow up with as it continues after the interview. Yeah,
this is a big story. So the more I see here, when you get these objectors coming out, it tells you that they didn't ask everyone about these policies. It's that simple.
Send out a poll, send out an email, something.
So give me your take on some of the feedback here that we got from some of the people in the industry. So Glenn Kelman, CEO at Redfin, not surprising, he supports the policy. The industry has a long history of cooperating so that any consumer can see all the homes for sale. I don't think people realize how easily the dream can collapse. I don't think they realize the stakes. What do you think about his reaction?
Well, it to me kind of sounds like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, and that's not the case. So, I mean, I feel like he might be trying to look at what's best for the masses, but like we're saying, there are those few that really, the circumstances that you brought up. So I feel like you really have to look at those fine details.
And then, by the way, Redfin also has coming soon statuses on their website. So it's, they have one of the best websites out there. There's no question. So you think about it here. It's like, hey, yeah, he supports the policy, but they have coming soon on their website. So does he really support it, or is this like CEO talk? Like that's my question here.
I say.
Glenn Sanford, EXP. I support the policy. Pocket listings will always play some part in the industry, given an agent will often know of a listing that is going on the market at some point in the future. And he said the NAR proposal is going to level the playing field, and he doesn't think that any agent, especially the profile of a salesperson, is going to want less regulation than more regulation. I think that the policy, in his opinion, benefits the small real estate players. What do you think about that?
Is there like some kind of brokerage out there that has like a ton of pocket listings and that's all I feel like everybody's like, these people with these pocket listings, like they're trying to go after them.
It doesn't happen that often. That's my point. I think they're looking at like the 2 or 3% of the time. I mean, it's 2 or 3% of the time a home sells privately. That's the numbers that are out there. And are there off MLS deals? Sure, it happens, and they're kind of unique circumstances sometimes.
So much so that we have to create this rule.
Well, what they're saying here is that, what I see from Kelman and Sanford is, hey, they don't want people to not have a shot at buying the property.
Okay.
And sometimes that has to do with what agent are you working with. Maybe the agent's not in the know. Maybe they're not representing their buyer effectively. So this is a little anti-competitive in that it hurts the people that are really doing their job well, and it's trying to make it easier for the ones that aren't so aggressive.
Sliding through.
And nobody likes an aggressive agent until they have one. So Nick Bailey, RE/MAX, the Chief Customer Officer, we respect the spirit of the proposal and have seen similar policies work in local markets. But whether or not it's the right solution at the national level remains to be seen. So he has no comment.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. What we know and support is that consumers are demanding greater transparency and a better buying or selling experience. As an industry, we need to continue to move forward and deliver on that. Consumers want to understand and benefit from the original MLS mission, the spirit of cooperation, clarity of compensation, and fairness for all. But MLS fragmentation continues to make it challenging. That's the bigger, more critical issue to address. 100%. There's too many MLSs and too many rules. Mauricio, the CEO of the agency, he talked about why not have a national MLS. I mean, that would eliminate a lot of this.
That'd
and there's
be
one
so
policy,
cool.
and that's how it works. So I guess what my takeaway is from this, there's a better solution than rolling out a policy without talking to the members.
Like we discussed, I agree 100%.
This story's not going away, so we'll keep tabs on it here. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Bright does in the end, because they're getting a lot of pushback on this, and from its members.
Hopefully they comply.
We'll see. So Zillow Unlock. So for those of you who don't know what Zillow Unlock is.
This sounds like the most exclusive, hip meeting. I mean, I don't even know what it was.
Okay, so let me tell you what it was.
I mean, I read through the article. It sounded like they were rolling out some pretty cool things, but it seemed like invitation only.
So it's invite only for premier agents with Zillow.
Love that.
And they come out. And we got invited. I just couldn't go. No, I had some family commitments that I couldn't get out of. My brother-in-law got married this past weekend, so that happens. So Freddie, thanks for ruining the trip.
Oh no.
So Zillow Unlock, what it is, it's an invite-only conference for premier agents to talk about the direction where the company's going, new features that are getting rolled out, all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
There's 2 things that I saw come out of it, so I'll share them with you. I know we prepped a little bit for this.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into what you think and kind of what it means for the industry. So the first is Richard Barton, the CEO of Zillow. They talked about like Zillow offers and Zillow buying properties. Mm-hmm. And he very clearly said, we are not here to make money from these flips, meaning in the sense of profiting from the sale and the margin, because there's not a big margin in the first place. And their intention is to give consumers another option. He views iBuying as a real thing, which is what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So they're offering again, we've talked about this before, but it's making an offer that's not quite at the market value, but it gives speed and and security of the transaction, meaning it's going to happen. It's going to happen quick. You can get the money out of your home right away. And for some people, that's a really legitimate service. They said they are not in this to make money. And the second takeaway, and we'll talk about this in a second, is that Zillow wants to do for real estate what Amazon did for e-commerce, according to Zillow president Jeremy Waxman at the Unlock event. And what he said is the majority of consumers are not going to transact via Zillow offers, but they're going to expect the service and delight that Zillow's offer provides. And Amazon did this for retail, and they can do the same for real estate. So it sounds like in line with what Barton's saying. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about all this?
I really do think that Zillow is kind of putting the message out there like, agents, you are not doing your job well enough. We want to make the experience easy and comfortable and convenient for the consumer, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it better than you. So I feel like that's where a lot of agents are going to get weeded out. Agents who aren't going to be doing their job are going to fall to the wayside, and then other agents who are basically doing what Zillow is doing, connecting with these people on the phone, like making them feel comfortable. They go through and they give scenarios about, why a woman, single mother who would not be willing to, move forward with the property because Zillow offers her something that she's not getting from other agents. So I think that, Zillow is really telling all the other agents out there to step it up.
So, yes, I agree with you 100% there. What they're looking for is, if you've been to Zillow's office, they have avatars of everyone involved. So they have Betty the buyer, Susan the seller, Alan the agent, right? So they have all these people and they're trying to create a certain experience for all of them, but they really connect with them. And having an avatar is an important thing whenever you're running a company, because you got to know who your customers are. So what they're saying here, and what I see them doing, is that they are looking at it as, they're not looking to make money off these purchases. They're generating an offer request every 1.25 seconds.
It's wild.
So what they're doing is trying to provide a better experience for that person.
Yes.
They broke it down and they at the event, and there's 197 steps that need to happen between starting the process and buying a home. That's the customer journey. 197 different things have to happen.
Wow.
That's how specific they are. They've got all the data. They've got all the information. So when you look at that, and then you think about what their model is going, they've got Zillow Mortgage now. They're changing their model to make it a referral-based sort of system rather than people pay for leads, and a lot of the agents don't call them back anyway, to your point.
You can basically do the whole transaction through Zillow.
But they're very clear there's a place for an agent in that. And what I see is, they're not going to make money off these flips. They're using that as a leverage point to get more business, and where they're making money is from the mortgage, the referral fee, all the other things that they're doing. That's going to generate more revenue for them than charging agents to advertise on their site, because invariably 87% of the agents in the business are gone in 5 years. Mm-hmm. So they have a total addressable market, realistically, of people that are going to be committed of 13% at any given time, if you want to break it down that way. Of all the realtors that are out there, there's 1.3 million agents. So you break it down, you can do the math, you get it, right? So with this, it's such a different model where they're trying to, again, make it the Amazon experience, make it flawless for the consumer. When they changed the newest iteration of Premier Agent, it was Zillow calling and reaching out first and then doing the 20-second phone call pickup, because people weren't getting calls back. They were getting a call back less than 50% of the time. So they have been very pro-consumer here, and the complaint you're going to get here is going to be from agents. Well, they can't do this. They're not doing this. Well, guess what, guys? They are doing it. It's happening.
Absolutely.
They have much more influence than you do. If you're an agent and you've got a problem with this, you have a couple options. One is you can go work hard and pick up the phone and respond to people when you need to. Or two is you can embrace it and try to pivot and work on your conversion, your skills, all the basic stuff that everyone here know. If you're an agent, you need to be doing. That's all you need to do. That's literally it. There's no rocket scientist involved here. There's no magic bullet.
Yeah.
It's pick up the phone, follow up, use the script, convert, and embrace what's going on out there. And if you don't want to work with them, that's fine. There's a place for everybody here. The point is, Zillow's going to do what they want because they have built the business and the credibility to do it, because some agents have not done their job, and the majority of them haven't.
I feel like Zillow is almost making it easy for agents who do their job, because they'll connect us directly to someone who is looking to go see a house or has questions about a house. And then we kind of just pick it up and take it from there and roll with it. And we're in constant communication with these leads. So I feel like if anything, they're making it easier for us to connect to really good people who need help.
So time will tell how this goes. Interesting topic. I'm clear what Zillow's on to is that they can provide a better experience as a company than the individual agent can, and they're a company, and agents are independent contractors. So if you have a problem with this, prove them wrong, and prove it wrong not to Zillow,
Step it up.
to your clients. So they call you. They don't go to Zillow. That's where you got to protect yourself and protect your database.
Absolutely. All right, cool. So the quote, you actually picked this one. You want to say it?
Sure. So this comes from Scott Galloway, who's a business professor at NYU. I got turned on to him. He's got a really great podcast on iTunes. And I got turned on to him by a friend of mine who's a finance professor at Villanova.
Cool.
So, Caitlin, thank you for this. I've really enjoyed listening to him. And he came out and talked about like the WeWork saga and some other stuff. So I've enjoyed what he's saying. And the quote is, "Tell my students that nothing wonderful, I'm talking really fantastic, will happen without taking a risk and subjecting yourself to rejection. Serendipity is a function of courage." So what do you think about all that, Jess?
I really do think that serendipity or luck, I mean, it kind of comes from the work that you put in. And if you're willing to go out there and take a risk, make yourself feel uncomfortable, you are going to experience more luck. Things are going to happen for you. So that's how it's speaking to me. He's 100% right.
Well, risk-taking is doing something you're uncomfortable doing, right? Risk-taking is knowing that you're not going to get a yes all the time. Mm-hmm. It's that you have to go out there, do what's going to be best for your business, for your personal life. I mean, even talk about, like, dating, right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen unless you go, like, talk to some other people and put yourself out there, and you're probably going to get rejected, right? So that happens to everybody. And the more rejection you get, I mean, then that's what he's talking about there. And serendipity and like in relationships is a place a lot of people try to get to. So that's a really great example. And really having that relationship of a lifetime. I mean, you're gonna have to get rejected, and you're gonna have to take a risk and actually like believe in the person that you're with. You could talk about the same thing when it comes to business, right? So taking a risk and knowing you're gonna get rejected. So real estate sales, like super easy sort of conversion
knowing
here.
You might mess up.
Well, also like not everyone's going to say yes when you ask them for an appointment.
Yep.
And you have to take the risk by calling and putting your time in and knowing that you may not get the appointment today, but if you keep working at it and you get better at it, then you're going to put yourself in a position where your business is functioning and performing it the way you want it. So to me, this is just about, getting outside your comfort zone, knowing that you're going to get some no's sometimes. I mean, baseball players, you bat 3 for 10, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's 7 times out of 10 you don't get a hit, and that's a Hall of Famer. So that's rejection, that's failure. So it's about taking more chances, and with chances come risk. And by taking more chances, you're going to have more opportunities to have that sort of amazing thing happen in your life.
I feel like if you are about to take a risk and you don't feel that, okay, well, what am I actually risking? What's on the line here? It's never going to motivate you to actually get anything done or actually do something different or get out of your comfort zone. So, yeah, I feel like this is a pretty cool one.
Good stuff. Scott Galloway, thank you. I've been listening to your podcast, so keep putting out great stuff.
What's it called?
I want to say it's called Pivot. I have it in my, I don't even know where my phone is, but I would show you. Let's look it up.
I love podcasts. I'll definitely give him a listen.
Yeah, it's called Pivot. Drops once a week. So, I mean, I don't listen to a lot of them because I'm particular about the content I'm digesting. This is a good one. So if you want to feel what's going on in business, listen to Scott. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week.